All right. Sounds good.
All right, I don't want to waste any time. I want to jump right in today's topic. We started talking about, well, first of all, I'm here with Seth, otherwise known as Mild Mannered Mage. There's
Hi,
various
everybody.
places you can see him, and I'll be sure to include those links here in the show notes as well as on screen. But we were talking about commander decks, and of course, we had some overlap. I've got 30 odd decks, so there's a pretty good chance that I'm going to overlap somewhere. But you mentioned a deck that I have never seen before. Now, I think I've seen him in the 99, but let's just get right into it. Who is the commander that you surprised me with, and what does he do?
So as we were talking about before, I'm a massive Doctor Who fan, and a couple years ago, Magic and WotC put out several Doctor Who commander decks. They were precons, and then as a follow up, they put out some Secret Lair cards just to kind of fill out when the 60th anniversary came up. David Tennant came back, and then there was a big reveal of the villain. And that was the Toymaker was coming back, played by Neil Patrick Harris. And one of the cards that came with the Secret Lair was the Toymaker. And
Nice.
he is a rogue artificer because what does he do? He makes the toys and the games, and he likes to play the games. And he's just kind of a fun deck because he's all about trying to basically force your opponents into these guessing games. And by forcing your opponents to play these games with you and make choices, those choices then have consequences because you're basically trying to get an advantage out of them making a choice. Plus, they're taking damage from making the choice themselves.
Nice.
Yeah.
How on earth could you exploit that to make a deck?
So it's really the subtitle of the deck really should be Factor Fiction the deck because 90%, I'm overinflating it, probably really it's just like 50% of the deck are fact or fiction effects. So
Okay.
the Toymaker himself, he reads that when he attacks, look at the top three cards of your library, exile any number of them in a face down pile, and the rest in a face up pile.
Okay.
And the defending player then chooses one of those piles, either the face up or the face down, and you get those cards in hand. So that's all we're looking at doing is we're trying to trigger these factor fiction type effects, these guessing games,
Okay.
and whenever, and then the second part of that effect at the beginning of each end step. Now that's kind of important as well. It's not just your end step;
That's right.
it's
You said each
each
end step.
end step. So if you have any instant abilities that allow you to trigger this type of effect, so you could trigger that on your opponent's turns as well. So at the beginning of each end step, each opponent loses 2 life for each spell or ability that caused one or more players to guess or group cards or permanents into a pile this turn.
Okay. There's a lot of eaches in there. And you said each
Yes.
opponent?
So each opponent, so it's not just the defending player when he attacks, it's each opponent. So
Oh my
you're
gosh.
swinging at one person. So let's say you're the first player in a 4 player pod. You
Uh huh.
swing at player two. They make the choice. Then at the end of the turn, if that's the only ability that triggered that turn, each opponent then takes 2 damage at the end of that turn.
So there has to be some standout cards in there because I'm imagining, I could be wrong, I don't know the pods you play in, but that seems like that would put a really big target right on you there.
You know, it's one of those kind of sneaky decks because depending on the play group, like some of my friends, the people that I play with regularly, they know this deck. Checked, it can just kind of sneak up on you, and next thing you know, you've lost half your life. But if I go and I'm at another LGS or playing with a pot of people that I've never played before, and they're like, "Oh, well, that sounds interesting. I've never seen that card before, or I've never heard of this before. I'm interested to see how this will play out."
Yeah.
So they just kind of leave it alone, and it's doing its thing, and they're suddenly looking at their life totals like, "Wait, why am I at
How did that happen?
What happened?"
It wasn't even my turn. How did this go?
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't even attacked this turn. Why am I taking 6 damage? Explain that to me again. And then the target starts to kind of slowly like, wait a minute.
Nice. So there's got to be some standout cards in there that that are either favorites of yours or enable your strategy. What would those be?
Yeah, there are. So there's a lot of cards that can kind of really help to trigger these effects. There are lots of Sphinx cards that
Sure.
really work well with the Toymaker, mainly because Sphinxes like riddles. They like games. So they're going to try to make you guess something. They're going to try to make you group something. One of the ones that really stands out, though, is the legendary Sphinx Unesh, the Chrysosphinx Sovereign. He's a little expensive. He's 6 mana to get out, so it's going to be a little bit for you to get him out. But when you do, it lets your Sphinxes cost 2 less. And then whenever he or another Sphinx enters under your control, you get the ability to reveal the top 4 cards of your library. An opponent separates those cards into 2 piles, put one into your hand, the other into your graveyard.
Already he's working with your commander.
So he's working with the commander, and then if another Sphinx comes in, it triggers that ability. So it's layers on layers on layers on layers.
So I'm gonna bring up something else that we talked about. I kind of already know the answer to this, but tell me what you feel about the bracket system. I know we're departing from the deck just a little bit, but
yeah,
what's your feelings on the bracket system? Because this brings up a point.
You know, I think I kind of understand what they're trying to do with it, but I think it still needs some tweaking because I feel like it is not an accurate representation of all the decks out there.
Yeah,
you know, you can still have a game changer in a deck, but depending on how the deck is built, it may not really be that big of an issue.
I feel like when it comes to the game changers, a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times, a single counter spell will cancel that out. Whereas already what you're talking about and the way this seems to be built is in such a synergistic way that it's not going to matter. I mean, you surely have other cards in there that trigger that factor fiction abilities.
So we haven't really kind of gotten into like the win con piece of it, but there's 2 particular cards that I have in this deck that really kind of help to accelerate the loss of life, because that's the big thing. That's how you're going to win is through this strategy of we're going to trigger these effects to basically drain the board out. So there's 2 particular cards that I have in here, and they're probably some of the more expensive cards in the deck, and that is Wound Reflection and the Bloodletter of, and I'm going to completely butcher this if I'm going to be
I
completely
saw that
honest.
and I wasn't even going to try this.
The blood letter of Akhlazats.
Okay, sure.
It is from the last Ixalan.
Caverns of Ixalan there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Caverns of
Okay.
Ixalan.
Okay.
But they both have very similar effects. Wound reflection at the beginning of each instep, each opponent loses life equal to the life that they have lost this turn. So if you've lost 4 life, then you're going to lose an additional 4 life. So suddenly you've now lost 8 life. The blood letter effect, if an opponent would lose life during your turn, they lose twice that much life instead. So there are 2 cards that do basically the same thing to
Right.
really help to accelerate that that effect.
Nice. Nice.
But then, like I said, a lot of these cards that are in here, they all have those very similar effects, from the sphinxes to the sorceries to the instants. I think there's only one enchantment in here that does it, and
Okay.
then there's a couple of artifacts that give very similar effects. There's one in here. It's a very interesting one called the Liar's Pendulum, and it's a very old card. Are you
Okay.
familiar with that
I
one?
did not. No, that's another new one.
Oh, find it. The Liar's Pendulum. I think this is, if I'm remembering my sets right, maybe Shadowmoor.
Oh, okay.
It looks like the set symbol looks like a knife
Yes. Yeah.
on the side, just kind of
Yeah.
a dagger. But yeah, it's a 1 mana artifact, and you pay 2 to tap it. Name a card. Target opponent guesses whether a card with that name is in your hand. You may reveal your hand. If you do, your opponent guessed wrong, draw a card.
Nice.
Yeah, just a
Yeah.
very simple artifact. You can play that at the end of your opponent's turn, coming into yours to get
Okay.
that ability. Give you an extra card, hopefully, if they
Right.
guessed wrong.
And again, that's
Yeah,
another one that triggers your commander because it said anytime you
yep.
guess.
Anytime you
Nice.
guess. Yeah,
Okay. Very
and
nice.
and the fun thing about this deck, I had a lot of these cards already on hand.
Hmm.
I maybe ordered 40 cards for the deck, and I
Okay.
spent like $20
Nice.
because a
Nice.
lot of the cards were like less than $1 because
So
they were older cards that don't see a lot of play.
one of the beautiful things that I love best about Commander is finding uses for those niche cards or those other throwaway cards that are out there that have been overlooked for 20 years or more, 30 years,
Yep.
and suddenly you can find a use for them in there. I love that.
Yeah, there's one in here that I played the other day. It was funny because I was playing with a lot of younger guys, and I played this card, and they looked at me and was like, "What is that even from?" I'm looking through here. Here we go, and I can't even identify this set symbol. It looks like a banner, a pennant banner
Okay.
waving in the background, but the name of the card is Phyrexian Portal.
Oh my god! Oh my gosh! Yes,
This is like an old
I
card.
love it. I love it.
Back when they still did the kind of the coppery brown borders
Right.
around
Right. Yeah.
artifacts. It's a 3 mana artifact. Pay 3. Target opponent looks at the top 10 cards of your library and separates them into 2
It's a
face
file.
down piles. Choose one of those piles and remove it from the game. Search the remaining pile and put one of those cards into your hand.
Oh my
Shuffle the remaining
gosh!
cards into your library.
I love it.
Don't activate this if you have fewer than 10 cards in your library. It's got it's hard to
Wow.
see it because of the green screen, but it's got
Yeah,
like a paragraph
I
of
love it. Yes.
text.
That is great. I love that. And again, I love finding those cards, finding those uses for cards like that. So I'm going to ask you something else, and you don't necessarily need to tell this. Maybe it's going to be
Okay.
revealing too much. But so how do you make those choices when people give them? Because so they're going to make the choice of what's up or down. But when you're separating the cards, what are the key deciding factors? Because I'm
Mhm.
sure sometimes you're turning them up, sometimes you're turning them down.
Right.
How do you have a process for that, or how does that work? How do you decide?
It really depends on where I am in the game.
Okay.
Um, sometimes I mean, one of the things that Esper, white, black, blue, which is
Hmm.
what the Toymaker's colors are. One of the things that it desperately lacks, it's got card draw
Right.
because of white, because of blue, because of black,
Sure.
um, but it misses ramp.
Right.
Um, the one rampy type thing that I have in here is I do play land tax, which
Okay.
again, another kind of expensive-ish card.
Sure.
But it's a great way to get those lands, get them into your hand. If you can get it turn one, that's like, to me, that's better than a turn one Soul Ring.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
If you're the fourth person in the pod and you can play a turn one land tax,
Yeah.
that's it right there. Because you can start thinning your deck immediately, and you're not
Right.
going to start drawing excessive lands when you don't need them.
Right.
But depending on where I am in the game, if I'm needing more lands, I'll take the lands because
Okay.
you can't play Magic without the land, without the
That's
mana.
true. Absolutely.
I run all assortments of rocks in here.
Well, I imagine too that this would be fun from a psychological standpoint of you also kind of read the players, I would imagine, and I could be wrong,
Mhm.
but I would imagine you're also reading the players as far as what you're putting face up or down because you're trying to second guess what they're going to choose as far as what's in your hand or what's not, or
Yeah.
rather what those upside down cards may be.
One
So,
one thing that I have done is I might take a card that looks kind of like a middle ground threat,
mhm.
and if that's like the best card of the lot, like maybe I've drawn two lands and I don't really need the lands, but then I've got this other really good card that that I could really use this card. Maybe I'll put those two lands face down and then that really good card face up and just slide them over to the defending player and be like, here you go. Here's a choice for you.
There's a choice for it. And
Yeah.
absolutely
And
is on point for sure, on theme for sure.
yeah, because then it's like, well, if you're sliding me this, what's
There's got to
under
be something
there?
way better underneath there for sure.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, that's got to be fun too.
Oh
That's
yeah, I mean there is kind of a fun component to like, okay, what are we making you guess for?
so let me ask you, just in general, how long have you been playing Magic? Was Doctor Who something that came along and made you get into Magic, or were you already playing Magic before that?
I was already playing Magic before that.
Okay.
I actually started playing Magic in 2014.
Okay.
I was working in at one of the local community colleges, and I had a coworker that also played, and he was like, "Hey, come over here. Let me teach you how to play this."
Nice.
And so we spent a couple of lunch breaks. He taught me how to play Magic. It was kind of a mix of standard and modern at the time, or kind of a mix of standard and modern.
Hmm.
And so we he taught me how to play. Um, I enjoyed playing, so I went out and bought a couple of. Let's see, I bought it was the 2014 core set was out at the time, so
Okay.
I bought a core kit, and we put together a blue black mill deck for me. So I actually, yeah, depending on how you and your viewers feel on mill, that
I'll
is
tell
what
you.
I really cut my teeth on.
I tell you what, I don't care. I want all strategies are on the table. That actually brings up another card. I don't want to cut you off, but there's another card that I specifically saw in your deck that stood out to me. But we'll get to that in a second. Go on with that. So when you saw Doctor Who coming out, was it just you were excited? Because for me, I've been familiar with who Doctor Who was, but I never watched it until like the 9th season when was Eccles was the doctor for that one. So I watched that entire run. And who was his companion?
Billy Piper.
Billy Piper. That's it. Yes. Yep. So I saw that one, but other than that, just marginally familiar with that. Tell me about your experience with that. Were you just really excited when that came out?
Oh yes. By the time the Doctor Who cards came out, I had been watching Doctor Who. Let's see. I probably got into watching Doctor Who. It was probably around 2010, I want to say.
Okay.
And just one of my friends reintroduced it to me. I vaguely remembered watching Classic Who. Okay. I remember Tom Baker and and with the big scarf and everything.
With the scarf, sure.
And so she reintroduced me to the new Who, starting with Christopher Eccleston.
Yeah.
It was on, I think, Netflix at the time.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, well, let me watch this and see what it was. And it just hit all the right buttons for me. And so I plowed through everything that they had on Netflix, and then just started buying the series as soon as they came out on DVD or Blu-ray. So at that point, I had watched everything from Eccleston all the way through the. I think this was right around the time that Jodie Whittaker was ending her run.
Oh, okay.
So I had watched all of that. Plus, I had started going back and watching all of Classic Who as well. Wow, so
nice.
It just kind of really the stories and the creatures and the sci-fi element and the historical element all just kind of really spoke to me.
Nice.
So when I started hearing the rumors that a Doctor Who set is coming, I was like, say more.
Yes. Tell me more. Tell me more.
Go get my credit card. Tell me more about these Doctor Who cards. And so
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Bring it back around to the Toymaker deck that you have.
Okay.
The one card that stood out to me is a pet card of mine, and love it or hate it, Approach of the Second Sun.
Yes, that is one of the win cons of the deck.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that brings up another question then is, how do you feel about infinite combos or win on the spot? Obviously, you play that card, and it's not exactly win on the spot, but it kind of is. I don't know. Talk to me about that.
So one of the reasons why I put Approach of the Second Sun in this deck is because it's a way to close out the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with the way that the Toymaker runs, it's a card that you could get very quickly back into hand.
Right.
Through his manipulations, through the draw card effects, through the factor fiction effects. There's a way to really accelerate it back up to the top so that you're drawing it quicker.
Okay.
So that's one of the reasons why I put it in the deck, because it'll be so easy to get it back to hand.
Right.
In terms of infinite combos, I think it really depends on the play group, and I think it really boils down to that rule zero conversation. What sort of game are we looking at having?
Right. Absolutely.
Oh yeah. So I think it really depends on the game that you're looking for. If you know that you're playing high power, and there's a possibility that infinite combos are going to be in there. But if we're just playing, if it's just a couple of newbies and you're coming in with this high power deck, that to me just kind of rubs me wrong.
I get you. I get you.
Yeah.
I'm of the opinion that, well, first of all, I'll sit down and play with anybody at any power level, and I'm not striving necessarily so much these days for the win. I want to do stuff, and I want to see you do stuff too.
Yeah.
I like that, and I try to feel that way. But sometimes you get in a game or you get in a pod where people want to take advantage of that. At least when I was playing on a more regular basis, I would find that there were people that would take advantage of that. And they would often come down with, even with a rule zero discussion, they would come down hard on people that were playing infinite combos or instant win type things. Yet they were playing decks that were so synergistic, it was more like an anaconda just squeezing the life out of you for 3 hours at the table. And I decided I've got to have a way to win. I've got to have something in there. And so every deck I design or every deck that I build or modify, I try to put a couple of infinite combos and a couple of instant wins in there, and I can hold those back if it's appropriate. If somebody else is abusing and the game is going on too long, then I play them. But or if we've had a discussion ahead of time or whatever, and I probably should carry a sideboard, honestly, to swap these out. But I'll know that I'm not going to use this card. Maybe it's the Approach of the Second Sun. Maybe it's whatever. What's the one you get 20 treasures and you win on the spot or whatever. I might hold back.
I know exactly what card that is because it's I have that in my Prosper deck.
Yeah. That's why I was thinking of it.
Yeah.
I'll have to look for it and I'll fix that in post. But but you can always hold back those cards too. You know what I mean? As far as that goes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Depending on the type of game you're having. If you're playing with some folks that you're maybe they need a little guidance and you're kind of stepping them through some things, then hold back on those types of cards. You don't necessarily have to stomp your way through them.
Right, exactly. What other cards are particular to this deck that you'd like to talk about?
One of the things that about the Toymaker is he's not necessarily like a big creature. He's just a 2/4. So he is blockable. He is killable. Especially on block, if it's a big enough creature.
Right.
So one of the nice things about his ability is it is not a deal combat damage. It is just a swing.
Oh, okay. Right.
So you don't have to worry about dealing the damage, but you want to keep him around.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's a couple of cards, excuse me, that really kind of help with that. One in particular from the Fallout set that I've included in this deck, Fallout and Doctor Who knew, is McCready Lamplight Mare.
Right.
Which I think is kind of a fun addition to this deck because it gives creatures you control with power 2 or less skulk until end of turn.
Sure.
So skulk, for those that aren't familiar, it makes your creatures unblockable by creatures with greater power. So if you swing with a 2/4, they cannot be blocked by anything with power 3 or greater. So that kind of helps with the, hey, I'm going to kill your creature with this 5/5. Well, no, you can't because he has skulk.
Gotcha.
But it also has this nice second layer of text. Whenever a creature with power 4 or greater attacks you, its controller loses 2 life, and then you gain 2 life. So that kind of mitigates some damage that you're going to be potentially taking, and also deals a little bit back to them.
Right. And Wound Reflection, is that on any turn, or is that on...
Wound Reflection is at the beginning of each end step. So if you had McCready out and Wound Reflection out, that would trigger off of each other.
They're attacking you now, harms them again at the end of their...
Yeah.
Nice.
Very exactly.
Nice. Oh, man.
Again, looking for layers.
Yes. Very nice. Very nice.
And then I've got couple of other
Wait.
similar effects.
Uh-huh.
Aqueous Form is another cheap enchantment that you
Yes.
really don't see a lot of play. It's a common.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's probably maybe, I don't know. I would say it's a cheap card.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but one blue mana, enchanted creature can't be blocked.
I,
So,
I'm that kind of person that plays Narset, and so that is
oh,
one
so
of
you're very
the
familiar with Aqueous Form,
I
then.
am definitely familiar with that card. And like you said, even if it wasn't cheap in price, it's cheap to cast, so well
Yeah.
worth the price.
And with the second line on Aqueous Form, which I always forget to trigger, it gives you a scry off of the attack.
Yes.
So attached on the Toymaker, swing, scry. I don't need that. Put that on the bottom. Then we trigger Toymaker's ability. So that
Perfect.
lets you kind of move through your deck to kind of, before we trigger that ability, do I want this card that's on top to be
Right.
considered in those three?
Nice. Very
Yeah.
nice.
And then I also threw a Sword of Feast and Famine in here because
Because it's
why
a
not?
sword. Why not?
Because it's a sword. I mean, let's
Yeah.
face it. But that does give pro black and pro green, which that a lot of your kill spells are going to be in black and green.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Another good pet card that I have in here, which is kind of a deterrent to kind of help people look the other way from
Uh-huh.
you, is the second Doctor. I have a lot of Doctors in this deck. I think I've got 3 in total. But the
Okay.
second Doctor is my favorite one in here. Because what he does, players now have no maximum hand size. So not just you,
Okay.
but everybody,
Sure.
which is a good benefit for you because we're going to be cycling through a lot of cards. We're going to be putting a lot of cards in our hand. We want that no maximum hand size.
Right.
But he has a second ability called How Civil of You. At your end step, each player may draw a card, but if they do, they can't attack you their next turn. So they get the benefit of a card draw
Sure.
in exchange for not attacking.
I'm familiar with this only because it's been played against me so many times, and I found myself taking advantage of it, not wanting to, but I'm stuck. And
And
man,
you
I sure
need the
could
card
use that
draw.
card draw. I'm playing the colors that don't give me card draw. That card draw makes a difference. So yeah, that's definitely a good defensive card, and another reason to keep you around just a little bit longer in the game, maybe till we take out this person or whatever. Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Well,
very
let
nice.
me ask you this, because
Mhm.
I see a lot of discussion amongst my play groups about this around no maximum hand size.
Mhm.
How do you feel about Reliquary Tower in your decks?
It's I almost want to say it's an auto include,
Yep.
just because I often find that and even cards that aren't, or even decks that aren't necessarily designed to keep large handfuls of cards,
Mm-hmm.
um, it feels like a benefit to me. It always feels like a benefit to me, unless I'm playing what is it, the Mind Razor, Narset? No, not Narset.
Nekuzar?
Nekozar. That's it. Yeah, let's come up against Nekozar,
Yeah.
or somebody has our what's the other one that they use, the Psychosis Crawler.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, but yeah, so I'm a big fan of it. I am definitely a fan of
Okay.
Reliquary Tower. Yeah.
I am too. I'm in the same boat as you. I include Reliquary Tower in practically every single deck that I run.
Yeah.
There are very few decks that I don't include Reliquary Tower.
Yeah.
That's only if the deck requires me to discard or have a low hand size
Right.
that I don't include it. I think I've got a Necro Bloom deck
Hmm.
that I do not include a Reliquary Tower in that because
Okay.
I want to be able to load my hand up, discard all the lands, and then dredge them back.
For sure.
So,
Yeah.
so I don't include it in that deck because it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, every deck that I can, I throw a Reliquary Tower in it.
Yeah.
You know, it's gone up a lot, I think, in price in the last several months, years.
Yeah.
But I think it's just a great way to kind of help keep you with the no max hand size.
It definitely is, and one of those things that I've been slow to learn. So I've been playing Commander ever since it. I mean, I've been playing Magic ever since third edition since revised. But as soon as Wizards of the Coast started printing Commander decks, is when I got into playing it. But it's taken me this long to realize that in addition to not working my way through that far through the deck generally, that for all the cards that I struggle and think about putting in there and stuff, I need redundancy because I've got to get to the cards.
Yep.
And I'm finally figuring out this, like, oh, if you have more cards in hand, you have more choices, you can do more things, you're going to get more play that way. So it's a slow, painful process. I'm a slow learner about a lot of things. And so but I mean, we maybe talked about this a little bit, you and I, just before. It's like I spent probably the first 10 years playing Commander in pretty much an isolated pod of people. I played with a few other people along the way, but we learned a lot of bad habits. And we didn't really learn how to win Commander. We learned how to stop the other three people from winning.
Yep.
So when I started to branch out more and go to the LGS and play with a larger group of people, I realized I had a lot of bad habits that I had to get past, and I have to do that. So these last few years, I've spent a lot of time talking to other people, learning what they do and how they think about the cards and the ways to look at them. And that's really helped me improve my game in the meantime and stuff. Because I didn't win a lot, and I still probably don't win as much, but I have a lot more fun these days. And that's really what I think it's about. Are there any other final things that you want to talk about that deck specifically?
The only other really kind of pet card in the deck that I did kind of pull out to talk about was kind of one of the namesake cards of the deck, and that is the Toymaker's Trap, which is kind of a fun. It sounds like it should be an artifact.
Yes.
I always think it's going to be an artifact. It's an enchantment.
That one enchantment you're talking about, yes.
and the reason why I think it's going to be an artifact is because it's got a picture of a giant robot on it. A giant robot with a TV in it.
Yes.
It's got to be an artifact. It's an enchantment.
It seems like it should be.
Yeah. But it's the namesake of the Toymaker, and it's a throwback to the original episode that the Toymaker appeared in back in the 60s.
Right.
Which, fun fact, yeah, because I'm full of useless trivia knowledge.
That's the best kind.
Yeah. The original Toymaker, if I am remembering correctly, was played by the same actor who played Alfred to Michael Keaton's Batman.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I cannot remember his name, but that was the same actor who originally played the Toymaker.
Nice.
Yeah, so your worthless trivia for the night. But anyway, the reason why I pulled this one out is because it's a silly enchantment. It doesn't. It's a kind of a stupid game. At the beginning of your upkeep, so you don't even get it when you play it. You've got to wait till your next upkeep. Pick a number between 1 and 5. And then choose an opponent to guess the number. If they choose wrong, you get to draw a card, and if they choose right, you sacrifice the enchantment. Nice. And you cannot choose a number that has been guessed before.
Okay.
You have to choose a different number each time.
Right.
But the thing that is always kind of fun for me when I play this is the other people in the pod well, did he use this number? Yeah, I can't remember. What was the number last time? No, it wasn't that number. He used that the time before. So all this side conversation about what the number is or what numbers I've already used.
Nice. Was that the number I guessed, or was that the correct number he used? Yeah, I could see that. So this sounds like it's got a huge decision tree through it. I mean, do you find playing it challenging because you've got to remember so much, or is there just so much going on that it's always a different game, or it always plays differently?
I think it depends on who I'm playing, because it always kind of plays a little bit differently. Some of the more like for me, I don't have a hard time keeping up with the numbers that I've chosen.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the more with it commander players, they'll like have a little scratch piece of paper and they'll write down, okay, it was this number last
They'll take
time.
some notes and
they'll make some notes and they'll remember what I have chosen.
Right.
And it doesn't, it'll probably last 2 or 3 turns and then it's gone.
Okay.
Sometimes I have gotten it to go all 5 turns before it has gone away.
Nice. Somebody's slipping at that point.
Somebody's slipping at that point, yeah. Because they like guessed a number that I'd already used.
Right.
So it was just kind of funny.
Nice. Nice. Well, we've been going, and I could talk to you all night long and stuff, but I probably shouldn't at this time. We'll save some things to talk about next time.
Yeah.
So just generally speaking, how would this is a budget deck? It's what's the price on it roughly?
Let's see. Price on it roughly, and I've got a price list right here. Price as it stands right now is around $440.
Okay.
Most of the cards are going to be less than $1. But there are a couple of standout cards that are a little more expensive, but you could certainly switch them out for something different.
Right.
For example, the Bloodletter is probably one of the more expensive cards. It is sitting right now, according to Moxfield, which is where I like to build my decks.
Mm-hmm.
According to Moxfield, Bloodletter is sitting at $43 right now.
Ooh, ouch! Yeah.
So kind of expensive right now. The other kind of call outs, I do run a Sea Rift in the deck.
Okay.
So that is $45. And I have a Flawless Maneuver, which if you control your commander, you can cast it for free.
For free, yeah.
It's a white spell, and it gives all your creatures indestructible.
Nice.
It's sitting at $23 right now.
Okay. So you could do a budget version of this deck basically with just a few swaps.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably I'm looking at the list right now, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cards that are over $10.
Okay.
So you could swap those out and probably get the price down really low.
Yeah.
But looking at like the creatures, of the 21 creatures that I run in this deck, I would say 3, 4, so 17 of them are $2 and under.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, the creature base isn't really that expensive.
Gotcha. And is it? You said you use Moxfield. You probably have that link? I could probably put that link up for anybody.
Oh yeah, I'm happy to share this link. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll send that over to you so you can post that. I can also on my channel I have a deck tech video of this. I can also give you the link for that.
Yeah.
So that you can hear me ramble on about the decisions that I made and the process that I went through when I was putting this deck together.
Nice, nice, cool. Well, I will do that. I also have a link to your link tree. You did
Yes.
mention though that you have you're here on YouTube,
Hmm.
you're on Instagram, and any of your places can be all found on that link tree there, right?
Yep. So I am on just about every social media. So YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, and then on Linktree, I have links to all of those.
Nice. All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. I
Well,
hope you'll
thank you
come
for
back and
having
we'll
me.
talk some more.
Oh yeah, it'd be a pleasure.
All right, awesome. Well, I will say thank you again, and thank you to all of you that tuned in to watch this. Thanks for sticking around to the end. We truly appreciate it. Check out all those links will be in the description here, and you'll be coming back to join us again. So hopefully you'll be coming back to join us also.
Oh yeah.
In the meantime, thanks.